And so, okay. What is going on? Okay. Lord have mercy. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let me go back up. So, this is pretty much a little bit of what I want to display with everyone. And also, you get a CERT basic training manual. This is a basic training manual with CERT. So what they give you is everything pretty much you need so you can go ahead and form your own CERT team. This is the basic training manual for participants. They have one for instructor. I am a certified instructor through FEMA. I went through the EMI, Emergency Management Institute in Emmitsburg, Maryland. That's right above Gettysburg. You have workplace CERT on the workplace. And you have also on campus. So these are different tools that you can use so you can get your own CERT team and establish yourself. So in this slide, I just wanted to go through some things, and then I'm going to bring on Mr. Cotton to go further. Disaster preparedness means community awareness. Because right about now, with all the stuff that's happening, with the weather, with, not just natural disasters, a whole lot of stuff is going on. And we need to be fully aware. Come on. All righty. So we have three types of disasters: natural, technological, and intentional. So there's a whole lot of natural, technological stuff is going on. A lot of internet, a lot of outages that's happening right now. And if you look at the West Coast had fires, just burning. So what happens to the smoke in the atmosphere? Pollutes the atmosphere. And so what happens to people's air quality?
Goes down.
So that causes more asthma, more medical issues. And that's just from the fires from California. And depending on the wind, where it blows is where it goes. So that's another issue. But California, these are global floods all over pretty much the planet. Look over here inside United States of America. Most of the East Coast is flooding. Folks ain't talking about it. Florida, yeah. But why does it have to take a hurricane or a tornado for us to come together? Whether you my neighbor, black, white, green, blue, purple, you from outer space, bleep, bleep, blah, blah, you got a raft. So why does it take a disaster for us to come together as Americans? And why does it take that? Why can't we just look? Now, I'm talking today's mentality.
Which is what you got to do for.
OGs like us, old school, the original gangsters, okay? It's different. We were raised up in community. We were raised up coming together. If I was playing hooky, your mom would call my mom. This is before cell phones.
Yep.
Your mom would call my mom to call my dad, and next thing you know, I come home and I got something going on. Heat wave. We had some heat waves going on. People dying in heat stroke. A lot of seniors. You know. Water. What happens with water? With the heat. Yeah. So a lot of people, we're not appreciative of water. We literally have actually not paid attention to water. 75% of our body is water, or 71, 75, and the planet. But heat wave causes evaporation, drought, and people still consistently waste water. I know a couple of Africans that I know, one from Liberia, Ivory Coast, and a lot of Latino family members. They turn it on, they turn it off. They turn it on, they turn it off. I was like, why you do that?
They know it's that.
Because in our country, we don't have. So here, what do? We turn it on. And we leave it on, you know? So there's a knowledge base. What about drug epidemic? Is that a disaster? The drug epidemic? It's an epidemic, but in some families, it's a disaster. Well, some people don't think that the drug epidemic is a disaster, but it is. You raise your son or daughter, or family members were raised by your sister or brother or whatever, and next thing you know, they get strung out on drugs. You can't even trust your family member with your pocketbook, let alone your library card, leaving it there. Because they may think the library card's a credit card. So you don't even have that, because the trauma of the effects of drugs. And what is a disaster? What does a disaster cause? Trauma. So the drug epidemic has been here. It's been a trauma that has been cycling and recycling in us, but no one thinks that there should be a disaster preparedness for that. Gun violence. You hear it on the news. There was a young mother who she was on the news just recently crying about her son. Her son was 15 or something and got shot. You know, we don't know what the young people are doing. They're not doing what we were doing at 15. I know. I was told don't come back in until the lights come on.
That's right.
Or don't come back in until dinner's ready. You know, so there's a lot of psychological issues going on, and the gun violence is a form of disaster. Global famine. Oodles and noodles is like 79 cents. Oh my God. Oodles and noodles, 75 cents? Chicken. Before COVID, nothing. Reasonable. Oxtails was reasonable. After COVID, everything went up. But we've been in a food crisis. We're even in a more crisis now because what's happening overseas and what what they call that, the chain, forgot what they call it, but they had ships out in the California coast that couldn't unload on the docks because countries were going through some type of bureaucracy and red tape from bringing food supplies here. Even auto parts were slowly, you couldn't get your car fixed because the parts was coming from overseas and you had to wait, you know. And so all of these things are part of a disaster. Okay, come on. play games with me. Global water shortage. Definitely a disaster. We don't even know what's in our water. But I got somebody here that's going to show you and is going to break it down in a few minutes. So, water shortage, is that a disaster? Absolutely. Because we need to be hydrated. Is the water pure and good? Well, it's not for me to say. I got somebody else who's going to go ahead and break that down. COVID's still around. It mutated in many different forms, and whatever controversy that how COVID got here and all this other stuff, COVID was here. A disaster. I lost family members from COVID. My mentor, one of my mentors, passed away September 27, 2021 from COVID. I was the last person he spoke to before his family, because I happened to work at the same hospital that he was in, and no one could go in the room, but because I had security clearance, I was able to see him. And the last thing he did, he raised his left hand. He said, "We'll talk." And the next day, gone. Do you think that's a disaster? Psychologically, traumatic? So it's not just floods. It's not just fires. It's not just earthquakes. There's a lot of stuff going on. So what is trauma? Trauma is any type of distressing event or experience that can have an impact on a person's ability to cope and function. If I don't have enough water, or if my water is not purified or alkaline, there's going to be some problems. I'm going to be like kind of wacko. Shortage of food. Distressing event. Types of trauma: abuse, assault, car accident, death of a loved one, divorce, abandonment, imprisonment, job loss, natural disasters, physical injury, rape, serious illness, terrorism, violence, witnessing a crime, accident, etc. Some symptoms: intrusive thoughts and memories, hypervigilance, hyperarousal, feeling unsafe. That's a disaster. That's a disaster. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, loss of interest, avoidance, unhealthy coping behaviors. What about genetic, DNA, ancestral, or generational trauma? What about that? What about that? What about alcoholics from my grandfather to my father to me? Generational trauma. What about after 1980, crack came out and all this other stuff, the love stories were out. You had Marvin Gaye and, you had all these different, Barbra Streisand. You had all these different artists from all different cultural value systems, and it was about love. It was about romance. Well, after 1990, that was it. So the generation of children after the crack epidemic, during and after the crack epidemic, now we're into the opioids, the pills, and the marijuana. Now, generational trauma of the young people we have now to a lot of our elders is a disaster. What the heck? We didn't raise them this way. So I just wanted to give an overview of these things. So this is CERT. Come on. Alrighty. Community emergency response team programs help train people to be better prepared to respond to emergency situations in their communities. When emergencies happen, CERT members can give critical support to first responders, provide immediate assistance to victims, and organize spontaneous volunteers at a disaster site. CERT members can also help with non-emergency projects that help improve the safety of the community. Non-emergency projects. So if I see something that, that is affecting the community, I'm not a snitch. I'm protecting my community where I live.